Okay, we're going to start the live with the microphone first, and then I'm going to try playing some music. But let's see if I can find myself on my channel first, so I can listen to the sound, see if the microphone's working. I might have to do this with every live stream, just in case. Let's see. Well, we already got somebody here. Let's see if I can hear. Well, we already got somebody here. Let's see if I can hear. All right, so I am able to hear myself. So I'm gonna try to play some music. Hold on.
Woke up this morning, coffee in hand, flipped on the screen, my favorite man. Crafty's on the TV, chipping that stone with obsidian and flint, he's in the zone. He's shaping the future with a hit and a crack, building the legends, ain't no turning back. With every sharp edge, he's teaching the way of the ancients who thrived back in the day. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. Underneath those layers of dust and grit, finds the magic every little bit. A sculptor of stories, buried in the ground, each piece he uncovers wisdom abound. With every collision, the sparks start to fly. As the old world awakens, we question why. He's digging deeper where the shadows play, reviving old crafts that could fade away. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. And in this life, we're all just searching for our place in the world, a way to keep working. With the flick of his wrist, he brings forth the light. In every gray morning, he makes it feel right. So gather around, let the stories unfold. Crafty's our guide through the young and the old. With the sun rising high and the day moving on, Crafty carves dreams till the light is all gone. He's shaping the future one chip at a time. With every creation, he's keeping the rhyme. From the heartland of Texas to the mountains of green, the legacy lives on through the stonework unseen. With every perspective, he's showing the way. Crafty keeps going, come whatever may. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. So here's to the mornings with coffee in hand and Crafty on the screen, the true heart of the land. With a hit and a crack, he's paving the way through stone and through story. He inspires the day.
Okay, so let's see. See if I can hear myself. Okay, so let's see. See if I can hear myself. Yes. Okay, so let's see. See if I can hear myself. Okay, so the audio is good. All right, so I'm using my other phone so I can look at the chat. Okay. Awesome. I'm glad it works. It took me a while to figure out how to use this new app, but it looks like it's working. All right, so today is Wednesday. This is when I do slabs. I do Flintknapping on slabs today. It's slab to point day. And I was going to cut some coral try to cut coral, this heat treat stuff, with glass cutters. All right, I'll show you how I do it. Let's see if it works. Because you can cut stone, it just doesn't always work. All right. I was going to cut it right across here like this last time. So what I do, or what I have done in the past, is I take a pair of cheap glass cutters and I score it really, really hard. All right. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to score it across there, and then I'm going to try to snap it. Okay. So just like cutting glass, except I got to make sure that score line is distinct and very deep. That didn't do anything, did it? Nope. That didn't score it at all. Let's try this one. I haven't tried this off camera, so just hold on. I know I can do it with other slabs. It's just this might not work right. Hold on. Okay, that one did score it. See that score line? All right, so what I do is I stand on it. I take a rod and I put it under there and I stand on both ends. So that's what I'm going to do, okay? So let's see if it works. Right there where I scored it. Okay, so hold on. Let's see if I can do this without messing it up. It's got to be perfectly aligned. It's got to be perfectly aligned, so it may take me a few attempts because I can get everything out of the way. All right, here goes. There it is. Did you hear it pop? So it worked right on the score line. See that score line? You can barely see it on that side. All right. So yeah, use the rod. It's more solid. That way I can get 2 points out of this one piece because it's really nice coral from Florida, I believe. Right? Yeah. So it's a heat treat that makes it easier to snap. This cheap. So I have an expensive glass cutter from Sal, I think, and then I got the cheap one. The cheap one did not score the rock or the coral, but this one did. Okay. So I can do that with my other slabs too that are, odd shaped. But you got to get it perfectly aligned, like I said, or it doesn't work right. Okay, that was cool. Let's see. If you're new, this is a 2-hour live stream, but it's Wednesday, so sometimes, well, not sometimes. From now on, I'll be able to go over the time on Wednesdays. I've cleared my schedule. Yes, my schedule that I don't have nothing to do. Okay, so hello, everybody. I'm not going to single you out and say hello to everybody individually. Just hello, everybody. Someone's already posting numbers, but it's not too bad. We do have a moderator that if you get carried away with the comments, then we will put you in timeout. Somebody says the AI music sucks, takes away from the real musicians. I'm out. See you later. Please don't come back. AI music does not take away from real musicians because real musicians are now using AI to help them write more songs. It inspires more songs to be written. What else we got? If you have a question, I'll try to answer the questions. I interact with the audience during my live streams. So if you don't like that, then you may want to go watch somebody else. Yeah, the AI music is getting really good. And I can hold a copyright, or I can get permission to play it without infringing on anybody else's copyright. Okay, Danny Collins wrote that for me and provided that for me for the channel. Danny Collins, yeah, of Flintknappingtraditions.com. Use a triangle? What's that? Use a triangle. Let's see. Is he crafting a world where we all can belong again? Yes, I am. What is this? So they're already spamming. Yeah, but this is not too bad. I've been watching other live streams. They have a lot of bad spam on other live streams. Yeah, they got weirdos, and I thought we had weirdos. None. We cannot compete with some of these other live streams. No, sorry. If you want to see a lot of weird stuff, you're not going to get it here. Apparently, and we get a lot of young kids on my live streams. So watch the language, behave, that sort of thing. I'm going to be napping this coral slab. It's a heat treat. It is. I was going to try the Nachomatic to divide this, but the glass cutter worked. Okay, so we're going to make an arrowhead. Yes, we are together. I will check the chat from time to time. But once I get started on this, I like to be in the zone for at least a little while. Maybe like 30 minutes before I check the chat again. And we shall see how it goes. I will review these videos after using this new app. The videos sound pretty good. So hopefully, cross my fingers, we can proceed. We can proceed with higher quality vids. Yeah, hopefully. So where did this coral come from, and what is it? Is it real coral? It's petrified coral. Yeah, petrified. That means it's very ancient, very old. And yes, from the ocean. And I don't know if it has salt in there. Does this stone have salt? Is it a salty stone? I like salty things. I don't know. I don't know the chemical composition of these things. Somebody might know. The only thing salty you're going to get here is maybe a salty personality. Yeah. Keith says, hello, everybody. Let's see. We are the weirdos, but at least we're clean and honest, says Bill Taylor. Yeah. Yes, comparatively speaking, we are squeaky clean. That's good, because I've got relatives watching my videos that are little kids. So behave. Especially on a day like this, in the middle of the day. They're not supposed to be watching, but you know how that goes. They're supposed to be in school. Well, I have relatives in England, so I think school is out by now over there. And if you want to say hi, Evelyn, just type it in the comments. Don't be shy. Let everybody know that we have some internationals in the house. We usually have internationals in the house. Anyways. Let's see. Somebody's Easton is sick. He's homesick. Oh dang. Hopefully it is not something that'll cause permanent damage. Yeah, that really is bad. What kind of permanent damage sickness can you get? Well, like if you got a broken bone, maybe that's kind of calling in sick. You can call in sick for broken bones, right? Sometimes that's permanent damage. But probably calling in sick with the flu. That sort of thing. All right, so this is the first stage. I get rid of the square edge all the way around first. I don't do any thinning at this stage, especially not in the middle, because this is already way too thin in the middle. Slabs are always, never an exception, always too thin in the middle when you start. So they tend to snap right in the middle. Right? And they can get pretty long. They can get this long. Let me take the square edge off of this one too, since I want to work on both of these. This is way too thin in the middle. Now, this is a 3/8 inch thick, right? Percussion, what they call a percussion slab. So I can do percussion on it without too much worry. This particular piece is Alabama Coastal Plains chert heat treat between 600 and 500 degrees Fahrenheit heat treat. I'm not sure how long he kept it he has a kiln. I don't know if it was 12 hours or 8 hours. It varies. There's no set formula for these. You just have to experiment with the rock that you have. There is a couple places you can look up the heat treat estimates. Puget Sound Nappers has a chart. Puget Sound Nappers. They're from Oregon or Washington State. I can't remember. Anyway, they have a website. I could write that down, but I'm in the zone. Hold on. They have a chart that shows you estimates on heat treating and for how long, I think. But it doesn't apply to everybody. Those are just suggestions and estimates. Your results may vary a lot. That one's already got a slant to it. Okay, so technically that's not a square edge. It's already got a good slant to it. How long is this one? La la la. Just looking, la la la, looking for stuff. 6 1/4. And it's got a defect right there, and it might have some other problems in there, so it may not be completely, or I might not be able to completely preserve it the whole length. Okay? It looks so easy. Yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years, at least. I'm always conservative with the amount of time that I've been doing this. It's probably been longer. But I've been on the YouTubes since 2011. I got a lot of videos. Not all of them are that great. I look back at some of my videos. I need to do updates. Yeah, I need to redo my playlists also. And I've been procrastinating on playlists because I hate doing them. I don't like sitting there reviewing my own videos. I have to get ready to be cringed out. Yeah. I don't like watching myself. It's too cringy. Anyway. Let's see if we can get this taken care of here. Get the square edges off. Same procedure with everything. Like I said, it's too thin in the middle, so I have to be careful that I don't hit this too hard. I'm just barely hitting it so that I can remove that square edge. Some guys like to nap off this square edge, and they'll just start napping toward the middle from the very beginning. I don't do that way. I don't do it that way. Nope. Everybody has their own little ways, or they should. Okay? They should have their own little ways, because it works better that way. If you try to copy someone's technique, you may be limiting yourself. You may be able to develop a style that works really good for you, and if you continue copying somebody else, you may have never discovered it. You may not have developed your own style either. Yeah. So you don't have to do it this way, but I'm just showing you how I do it. Okay? And I'll answer questions if I can. If you want to do it this way, I will attempt to answer your questions.
Well, I don't know what to ask. You gotta tell me what I don't know, because I don't know what to ask. Tell me everything I don't know.
I wish I could tell you everything you don't know. But I try. I try to come up with stuff that you may not know to ask. And I run the risk of people saying, well, that's totally obvious, dude. Bruh, it's obvious, bruh. Bro, we want special, in-depth information, bro. None of this basic beginner stuff. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to give you everything. I got to hold some back for myself. I'm not going to give away all my secrets. No. Why? Well, because I'm a professional now. Yeah. I've got proprietary information. Yeah.
No, don't be like that. Don't hold out on us, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to hold out on you. Yeah. And I'm going to like it. All right. Do I sell my work? Yes, I sell my work. I have auctions every Monday on this channel. So that's where you can buy my stuff. I don't sell very many things because I have a life. I don't nap all day, every day. So whatever I nap during the week, I offer in my auctions. And I don't do side works or side projects anymore. I used to try to do those. I'm almost caught up. I've got a few more left. I'm crossing my fingers that I don't be stupid and start saying, yeah, I'll do stuff on the side again now that I'm done. No, forever and ever, I'm not going to do any more side projects. Forever and ever. Nope. I'm not going to do it. So the only thing I'm selling is what's in the auctions. And that's it. Yeah. If I've already got something grandfathered in with you, like if we've got a deal going on that's already grandfathered in that I told you a while ago I was going to do it, those are still active. But no more new stuff moving forward. No more new stuff moving forward. Nothing on the side. And if you want to send me some stuff for me to try out on video or whatever, or to give my opinion on the material, just be aware that I've got a stack of that stuff still left to do on video. That's a separate to-do list. That's not a side project. Those are to-do things on video. So, two things. It may take me a while to get to your items if you want me to nap them on video. And number two, when you send me something, you have to include a note. Label each and every stone with what you want to see done to it, or questions on each stone, like, what is it? What is it, dude? And on the next one, can you nap this into a cahokia? And then the next one, I'd like to see maybe a Clovis from this one if you have time. And blah, 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 blah. And if you know the names of the stones, like what type of material, write that on there too. So every stone should be labeled and also include a note in the package so I can't mess it up. All right? All right. It may take me a while, and you got to be very specific on each item that you send me, what you want to see. I'm trying to sort through my old stuff, and I have notes on some of it, and some of it I don't. So I've got to try to guess what's going to go on with some of these. Man, it's getting cold already. I'm going to turn the heat back on, even though it kind of interferes with the microphone or the background noises. Oh well. It's starting to get cold. All right, so here we go. This is not going to be easy on this side. It's turning out. This side wasn't too bad, except there's one place where there's a defect. Let me see. Looks like we have some new people in the chat. If you're new and you subscribe, I've got a community section on the channel that you can post stuff. Like if you want to post your work, I think you can post up to 10 pictures now, where it was limited to 5 before. And people have been posting lots of their work if you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay. You don't have to use the community section. But just be aware we have subscribers that have posted their work if you want to see. If it's not related to Flintknapping, I have been known to remove some of those posts. If it's not related to Flintknapping, so that's another thing I should have mentioned. If you want to post to the community section, make sure it's Flintknapping related or survival related or something primitive skills related. Yeah, something like that. I want to keep it very specific. Alrighty? Alrighty. So right now I'm just what I call zigzagging or stitching the edge. This is a preliminary step for eventually making something that looks good. Yeah, right now it looks crappy. Do I have something finished? I got a couple things from the last live stream. I made these on video Friday. Two things on video on Friday. I did good. I also got a little bitty knife blade that I made on the side. I'm going to make a neck knife for myself. Okay, so this is not, you can't buy this one. This one I'm going to make a little neck knife out of. For me only. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I chipped these things out of stone. This particular stone is Australian mookaite, heat treat mookaite from Australia. It's a type of jasper that knaps really well. These other two are Texas rocks, just that you find on the side of the road or in landscaping material. Yeah. These are from Harper, Texas. The rock is. Okay, I'm in Vermont. I get my stone from my buddies in Texas. Very generous subscribers and friends of mine give me stones, or I buy some stones occasionally from people. Yes, yes, I will spend money on rocks. I have a weakness. I spend money on rocks, even though I don't have to, because I got lots of rocks now. I've got enough to last me a good long time. At least 5 years of stuff that is really, really nice. And then 10 years if I include all my cruddy stuff. So yeah, and then if I heat treat my cruddy stuff, half of it turns into excellent stuff. So at least I can do that if I run out of options. Like if no one likes me anymore, they stop sending me stuff, at least I have some options, right? Yeah. I can heat treat my cruddy stuff and be set for another 5 years until I go down and try to collect some by myself. I say that because I tend to rub people the wrong way sometimes. I don't know why. I don't make fun of people or anything. Nope. Anyways, let's see. So we got the square edge taken off both of these without snapping it. Oh man, too much. Dang it. Sometimes I scoop out too much. And then I say, dang it.
Yeah, dude, we want to know how to do this without no mistakes, because if you goof it up, I don't learn nothing. And I can't stand it either. I got high anxiety. If you mess it up, it triggers me, dude. Bruh.
I might just mess it up on purpose in that case. Yeah. I like to see the reactions. Of course, I can only see them in the comment section. It kind of takes away the vibe. I don't get to see the real reactions if I'm just looking at comments, but at least I can see a little bit. Imagine it. All right, so let's get back to the other one. Okay, so I'll be working on these two during these live streams, or during this live stream. I think they're both like 3/8 inch thick. No, this one's a little bit thinner than 3/8. This one is 3/8 or something like that. All right, so let's get back to this nice one. So what am I going to make? Hopefully not a mess. Okay? Hopefully I'm not going to make a mess. So I don't know what I'm going to make. In other words, I don't know yet. This is just a piece of a big grinding wheel that I tried to hammer it and break it into 2 pieces, but it didn't work. So I'll just use a big old chunk. You know, it was a big old grinding wheel, so you can see the outside. That's a pretty big radius. I get these from a friend of mine who gets them from the garbage where he works. So you can't have it. It's rare. You're going to have to get your own. You can buy them at Lowe's or Home Depot or Harbor Freight. These are only like $8 for a smaller grinding wheel, 6-inch diameter. You just break them up into pieces. I got this one from Harbor Freight, and it's a finer grit, although I think it says medium on it. For Flintknapping, it's a finer type of grit that you could use. It takes a while to use it, even if it's, it takes a while to grind it down, even though it says medium. Okay? And if you want to go fast, you need coarse or extra coarse. I like to go fast. Sometimes it works too good, and it removes way too much of the edge. But oh well, I live with what I get. And I make do with what I have. Yeah. If I'm going to take the risk of using a grit that's way too coarse, I got to live with the consequences. And I do. I live with the consequences. Besides, I don't like it when it looks too perfect. Yeah, and it works well when I don't have to worry too much. Worrying does interfere with the knapping. Yes, it does. Believe it or not. Okay. I should check the chat because this is a new zone I got to get into. When I start to thin out these pieces, this is a different mindset. So let me take a break here. Before I continue to thin this down, let me check the chat. Half of you can take a coffee break and come back later. Okay, so let me check the chat for about 5 minutes. What type of gloves do I wear? I wear these high flex. Where is it? You can take a screenshot. That's the serial number, I guess, on these. And that's the, I don't know, business designations or whatever. Okay. These are rubberized gloves. And before I got into these rubberized ones, I used to wear garden gloves. But garden gloves stink. Yeah, they suck. All right, let's see. Somebody, I'm going to put you in timeout, Gilbert. Yeah, I'm going to kick Gilbert out. Okay? Someone already voted you down. 30-minute timeout. All right, so here we go. Marty's here. Okay, I'm going to go back and see if there's questions. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome. I should have checked it earlier because I'm not sure if our moderator's here today. Let's see. Flintknapper Troy, do you know the difference between a professional and an expert? An X is a has-been, and a sport is AI, a drip under pressure, be a professional. I don't understand it, Flintknapper Troy. You need to not type with typos. Go easy on the typos. In California, where I live, there's a brown flint-like rock. I think it would be great for an arrowhead. Yeah, it should be. If it's flint or flint type, yes. There's something called Monterey chert in California that's brown. That might be it, and it is good for arrowheads. What kind of phone is that? This is a phone that you can talk to. It's an Android phone. I don't know. It's an Android phone. I'm using two phones for this live stream, one to chat with and one to film. Although I can see the chat on the other phone. I can see the chat on this phone, but it's too close. This one I can hold further away. And it's also, I can scroll this easier without messing up my setup. Yeah, we lost 50 people that went to go make a sandwich. All right, let's see. I'm not worried about the viewership during these live streams all that much, because a lot of them are just doom scrolling and they're looking for something to fall asleep to. They're not really interested in Flintknapping or chatting or anything else. They just want to try to fall asleep. Let's see. Do you know the difference? Okay. I use natural tools on Fridays, yes. Where did I get that abrader? I think I told you already that this one is it's from a friend of mine who works in a factory. Yeah. Let's see. Teddy says, hey, Jack, I'm a huge fan. Where do you order your raw material from? I order my raw material from various rock sellers, but mostly I go to Knapping's now to buy my rocks. I don't like to order sight unseen unless I know the guy really well. I'll order sight unseen from Danny Collins and from Jeff Head, David Brown also, the one that provides me with this Alabama Coastal Plains heat treat, David Brown. I order from Curtis Smith or Kurt's Shirts, sight unseen. I think Brad Moore. I'll order from Brad Moore, sight unseen. And there's a few more that I probably should have mentioned, but I haven't because I can't remember. But yeah, most of the stuff I obtain is at Knapping's because I want to see what I'm buying. Last time I bought a big order, I bought some from Jeff Head at a Knapping. Oh, Craig Ratzett. I ordered some stuff from Craig Ratzett right there at the Knapping. Not order, but I bought stuff from him at the Flint Ridge Knapping, which is now in Coshocton, Illinois. I'm going there this spring again. Well, they have one in the spring and one in the fall. I went to the fall one, and now I'm going to go to the spring one, probably. We'll see. If the dates are good, I'll be able to make it. I got to go to my daughter's college graduation, so I got to work around that. That's in the spring, too. Let's see. Hope that answered your question. Do I use obsidian? Yes, I use obsidian. Let's see. Do I have anything to show? I got these that I'm going to make into arrowheads. They have some translucency and transparency on some of these. Although, yeah, can you see? I have exotic obsidians that I'm going to make arrowheads from for the auction. Can you see through that? Kind of, sort of. And I've got this green glass that I'm going to knap into an arrowhead that I've got. But I usually prepare several preforms ahead of time. Let's see. Let's see here. Diana says, I have no life. I can moderate. You can moderate? Let me see. Add as moderator. Let's try this. Okay, let's see. I think standard is the one I need to click on. I don't know. Let me review this. I'm not sure which one to click, so let me review that. I think standard is the one I want, right? But I can't remember. I'll figure this out later. Let's see. Do you know which one? I can add you. I just don't know which one to click. Let me check here. If I missed any questions, I'm going back to see if I missed a question or not. Let's see. Let's see. You guys can answer some of these questions that these new guys are asking. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I can tell we've got young people in the chat. If you don't know what I'm doing, just continue watching. You'll figure it out. Let's see. Just one bucket. Yep. My style of knapping. I came up with my style of knapping. Yes. All right. So I think I've answered the questions. So Marty says standard too. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to add Diana as a standard moderator. Or Dania. I'm going to add Dania as a standard moderator. Dania is now a standard moderator. Right? Dana? You gotta tell me how to pronounce, because I am challenged as far as knowing what to call people. Logan says, sup, bruh. Let's see. Do you know what Minecraft is? Yeah, it's a game. I don't do Minecraft. So watch out for Dana. The I is silent like, okay, like Dana. rear. I still can't figure it out. Hey, Prairie Ghost Ken is here. Dana. Okay, I think I got it. All right, so here we go. We're going to continue now with the thinning on this, which is the hardest part in Flintknapping. So you guys that took a break, those 100 people that took a break, you can come back now.
Dude, they're gone forever. You lost them. They're lost. Like, you'll never catch them again. It's once in a lifetime.
Yeah, probably so. They'll never come back because I took too long. Besides, now we have Dana, and she knows who to put in timeout. I betcha. And gotta watch out. Watch yourselves. I bet she's gonna go back in the chat and find some people that have not been behaving. Yeah, that's what you get. You can go as far back in the chat as you want. And if they were not behaving, if I missed it, or if I missed them, you can get them. Yep. I don't care how long you time out them either. Nope. Whatever you think. The longer, the better sometimes. Now, if they're entertaining, like you can tell they're like 8 years old, cut them a little bit of slack and don't put them in timeout right away, just so we can have a few laughs. And then put them in timeout. Because some people will go,
Wait, I wanted to see who the troll was, because, I like to look at troll things. Yeah.
Yeah, some people like to look at the trolls, or what the trolls are up to. How do I know? I don't know. Okay, so how do I do this? I don't know. I'm stuck. This is not good. How am I going to do this? How am I going to clean off the surface? I don't know. It's too hard for me. Yeah. Dum 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 dum. We're going to thin down the ends first. Although probably don't need to with something this size, since it's pretty strong. When it's like this, how long was it? I think it's under 4 inches. Yeah, little over 3 1/4. If it's under 4 inches, it's usually pretty strong, so you don't have to worry too much. But a longer one like this, I got to worry about snapping it in half. So I'm always thinning the ends first, just so it doesn't snap in half. And I just opportunistically take flakes wherever it looks good. Yep. And you'll have to figure that out for yourself over time. As a new person, you're not going to know what looks good and what doesn't. If you watch Flintknapping videos a lot, you can pick up, just by watching, you can pick up what looks good and what doesn't. But, watching, I try to provide this first-person view so that you can see what it needs to look like before you strike, from the view of the napper. Okay, you're seeing what I'm seeing. In fact, you're seeing it better because the camera is more close to the workpiece than my eyes. So you're seeing it a little bit better than I'm seeing it. And no, I don't nap while looking through the viewfinder, but my peripheral vision has gotten to the point where I can see both at the same time, almost. So I can keep it centered. I just have a hard time with it going down this way, and the text covers the object. Yeah, so I had to nap way out in front of myself. Anyways, you don't want to know any of that stuff.
Yeah, just get to the juicy part, dude. Thin it out in 5 seconds. Yeah, do it fast and good. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the fast and good.
Yeah, I know. But if I do it fast, it's not going to be good. It messes up. Because fast is bad. Yeah. Trying to do it super fast is not a good thing. Anyone who does this super fast is either naturally gifted or they're showing off. Or both. I'm just letting you know. Okay. So I'm clearing this. I'm going to go down the piece and start sending in more flakes. Now, this might be too wide. I can already guarantee that it's going to start diving. So I'm going to make it a little bit more narrow. I want to keep some of this coloration on this side. So I'm not going to take too much off of this side. But I don't know. We'll see. And I'll take more off of the other side. Yes. Let's just make this a little bit neater on this side, see what I got. See if it'll be worth keeping. And then I'll make it more narrow by removing more from the other side, so I don't have to remove too much of this nice colored material on this side. Right? So it looks pretty good. There is a slight crack there, but it doesn't go all the way through, and it might not be a crack. It might just be a little step fracture. Yeah, okay. It's just a little step fracture. So I can preserve much of this. There's no defects that I can see. I should be able to preserve much of it. And I'll take a lot of this off on this side and run flakes to the middle from the other side. So I don't mess up the middle. If it's too wide and you run flakes when it's too wide, you mess up the middle because it starts to dive if it's too wide for the material that you're napping. Okay? Sometimes you just can't overcome the physics. Some people might say,
but yeah, if you just do it right, you can run long flakes over anything, almost anything at all. You can run long flakes. There's no excuse for doing that. You don't need to narrow it, dude. You can run long flakes if you do it right on anything.
Yeah, that's what the internet culture will tell you. Do not listen to the internet culture surrounding flint napping. You have to work with each individual piece that you're napping. Every work piece is different. You might be able to run long flakes, you might not. And of course, you got to work within your own skill level. But even at advanced skill levels, you can't defeat the physics. Sometimes it just cannot be done well. You might be able to get it done, but you get all these little cracklies and little, I don't know, crunchies in the middle, whatever you want to call them. A series of step fracturing mishaps. Yeah, or whatever you want to call them. I don't want to have any mishaps in the middle. Okay, so the first pass on both sides is done, pretty much. Okay, so that's the preliminary thinning. Okay, I did thin down the ends a little bit. Okay, so I did remove mass on the edges, except right there. So pretty much the first stage of thinning is done. Now comes the even harder part of the secondary thinning, which, you know, supposedly, if nothing goes wrong, makes it very thin. Okay? Thinning down a thin piece is the hardest thing in flint knapping. I will say that over and over, probably till the day I die. The hardest thing is thinning a thin piece. How thin is thin? It depends on the material, right? Some materials cannot get really thin without breaking. But for the most part, anything with a ratio that's better than 6:1 width to thickness ratio is thin. What does it mean, 6:1? Well, let me just see what this is. I'm going to measure it in millimeters because it's easier to divide. Let's just say this is 40 millimeters or 4 centimeters, which is 40 millimeters, and divide that by how thick it is at that point. Let's see. Start with the number 3. It goes to 7 millimeters, right? It's almost 6:1. If it was 42, it would be 6:1. All right, so it's almost 6:1. So I'm starting with a 6:1 almost. That's already thin. I'm going to go thinner than that, hopefully. So I'm thinning down a thin piece, which is the hardest thing in flint knapping. Okay, all right. Here we go. I already did one big flake there. Some people don't want to hear that this stage is the hardest stage in flint knapping, because they say, no, conserving the stone, starting from just a rock, getting the most out of the rock is the hardest part. Dingbat. Dumbass. No, the hardest part is thinning down the thin piece. Yeah, it is hard to get the most out of the rock, but it's easy compared to this. I've spent many, many years trying to do this. Many, many years to get flakes like that. Just to start to get flakes like that took me years. Yes, and some people can do it after months. They are blessed. Okay? It's not the normal. Don't think that you can be doing that. If you can, excellent and great and fantastic. But most of us take forever, myself included. It took me at least 3 years to get stuff that was 6:1, and probably 3 more years after that to get them thinner than 6:1. Yeah, I'm just estimating. I don't know exactly for sure. And I cannot reliably predict if they're going to be narrow or wide unless I study the surface a lot. The more I study the surface, the more I can predict what's going to happen. But it's never 100% because there might be inconsistencies, there might be bad edges that mess up the flaking. But you have to study the surface of the workpiece. If it looks like it's going to be crunchy, like right here, if I want to try to damage control that and make it smooth by removing a flake right there to get rid of that, just got to be aware that if it's nasty, that prevents flaking from traveling well. And that's exactly the opposite of what you want. You want the flake to travel well. So you're fighting against the possibility that it won't travel well through that nasty area. So you don't know what's going to happen. You just hit and hope when you're doing damage control or hitting on a random surface. Okay? You try to get everything right when you're setting it up, but once you hit it, the flake's going to do what it's going to do. You can't control the flake. You can control the initial setup in a lot of ways. But once you hit it, the flake's going to do what it's going to do. I'm trying to set it up to where this is a nice edge that's kind of strong, but not too strong. That little sweet spot between being not strong enough and then too strong as far as how much it's ground down. It has to be ground down at least a little bit. If not, that energy is not going to be transmitted well. Okay. Now the tip of the point, the tip of the tool needs to be well maintained also. If it starts getting all pitted and all nasty, it's not going to flake well. And that goes for natural tools or copper or whatever. Okay? I'm going to try to do damage control at an area, and I'm taking my time because it's not an easy spot. No, it isn't. Because it looks kind of crunchy, and it's not going to be a big flake. If it was going to be a bigger flake and thicker, it wouldn't be so bad, but it's going to be a thin flake and not too big, so it's got to be just right. If not, it's not going to do it. I got to hit it just right, just like that. And I hit and hope. It worked out. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes it don't work out. Luckily, this is nice material with no defects that I can see. So, yeah. I think it might have had a defect or two in the beginning. Like this other piece, did it have defects in it? No, this one doesn't. Okay, this stuff was excellent. This is the one that has the defects. Yeah, like this. Okay, we're going to run into some problems. Yeah, we're going to run into some problems with this one. I can already see it. This side's good, though. So it gives me hope that this side's good. If I just skin off most of this side, I think we're going to be home free, because this is a nasty side. So in that case, usually what I do is I try to remove the nasty side first, and then the good side will flake much easier. So it's easier to thin it down if you're left with the good side last. Yeah. Remember, always leave the good side for last when thinning. It increases your odds of success. Yes, it does. So it turns out that I think I can run flakes past halfway with not much problem. See that? They all went past halfway. They did start to dive a little bit, but that's not too bad. So that's what I mean by making it narrow enough so that you can get these flakes to travel. All right, so that pass on this side was successful, awesome, fantastic, wonderful, and tremendous. Let's see if we can do that 3 more times. So I'm going to do a pass on this side, pass on that side, and a pass on this side. I got to do that 3 times. We've still got original surface there. We still got a little bit there. This one's almost done on this side. I can actually, no, we'll wait. Don't jump the gun. That's one thing I had to learn early. Don't jump the gun and try to do too much at once. I'll leave that. That'll come out later. I'm going to do a pass on this side. Yeah. Why? I don't know. It just seems like a good idea at the time. A lot of times I don't know why I do stuff. You'll find that out either for yourself or when you're watching my videos. You'll do stuff in knapping and you say to yourself, why did I do it that way? I don't know, it just seemed like a good idea at the time, which is fine. It's okay. It can be an exact science, but that takes the fun out of it. If you turn Flintknapping into an exact science, it takes the fun out of it, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said opinion, dude, because you're just full of BS.
Yes. So I make sure I say opinion, because I am full of BS. I admit it. All right, so I am going to make a pass. Where was it? Yeah, down this side. Just hold on a second. I'm picking at it. where I think it needs it. I don't know why. I'm letting my subconscious take over, and it sees these areas that bug me. But I'm supposed to be taking the pass on this side, so I'm supposed to be doing this. Okay, so let's get back to doing that.
Wait, you got ADHD or something?
Yes, I do have symptoms of ADHD. So there's that, in case you're wondering. It's not going to go. Is it? Okay. See, that one, that did go halfway. I was afraid it wasn't going to go. Why? Well, the previous one didn't go all that well, and this edge is kind of weak. This lighter color stuff is a little bit weak. And when that happens, the flakes don't travel as far. So let's try to get a nice pass of flakes going. Can I do it? See that original surface? Got to get rid of it. Got to be careful. Yes. And I'm hitting and hoping. Yes. See how the edge looks? I'm going to hit right there. See that? It looks perfect. But you know what happens when I knap a perfect edge? Sometimes it messes it all up. So I can't think about it too much. I can't get too excited that it's perfect. I got to think about something else, usually, so I can make it work. I let my subconscious and my muscle memory take over. Like that. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it all that much. Actually, that was pretty good. Dang it. I'm impressed with myself. Man. Yes, I'm impressed with myself. I thought I was going to crunch that. All right, let's see. Let's get this other sides, these other sides done. All right, so I ran it past there, and I flipped it over, ran it past there. Now I'm going to pressure flake the edge so that I can flip it and do the other sides. You can do this any way you want. You don't have to follow this procedure. But it does require some pressure flaking eventually to set up these edges well. And well means strongly. You have to set up the edges strongly so that they're strong. Yeah. How else do you explain it? I do not know. You just know when the edges are weak or strong after a while. Yep. You'll see. You got to do the pressure flaking first and then the percussion. If you want to get it thinner. Some guys will stop right there and say, that's good enough. Yeah. As long as they take off the original surface, it don't need to be too thin. And they stop, which is perfectly okay. You don't have to get it really thin, in case you're wondering. The artifacts, a lot of times, were not thin. You know, they were not 6:1 or better. They were like 4:1, 5:1 with the thickness ratios, which is perfectly okay. As long as it can haft. As long as you can put it on a stick. Yeah. All right, so it has a pass of percussion flakes and a pass of pressure flakes on that side. It looks like it's done, right? Well, the artifacts, yeah, they look like that when they're done because they do a percussion pass and then a pressure pass on many of them. Now, sometimes it's all pressure and sometimes it's all percussion. And a lot of times it's hard to tell on the real ones what actually they were using. both in terms of technique and materials for tools. Nobody gets it perfectly right because there's too many particulars. They might get the material right, but they were not getting the shape of the tool correct. They might get the knapping technique right, but they didn't get the amount of that technique, or if it was mixed in with some other technique. It's the particulars that'll get you. So if someone says they know how to do it, or they know how it was done in the past, they don't, because there's too many particulars that you need to get correct. And there's no way of getting them correct unless you actually saw them make it. They might have swapped, gave it to some other guy to finish and used a totally different technique on some of it. Like, let's say that I give it to another guy to sharpen it. So he says, well, most of it's already sharp. I'm just going to sharpen the tip. So you'll get one guy that did the sharpening on the tip only, and that's his style of flaking in his technique. And then the rest of it's somebody else, but they'll look like similar flakes. Sometimes they'll look like they're totally different. So either the archaeologist will get it wrong by saying it's one guy with two totally different techniques, which will be wrong in this case. Or he'll say something else it doesn't match what actually happened. You know what I'm saying? We don't know exactly how they used to do these. That's all I'm trying to say. Because the particulars are different. And usually they are different from one knapping session to the other. What if your tool breaks and you have to use a different kind of tool? You still want to generate the same look, but you're using a different tool to generate the same look on your finished piece, because that's what you're used to doing. You're used to doing a certain look. So you adapt and you use a different tool to produce the same types of flakes. Okay? That sort of thing can also happen. All right, so I did a percussion pass. Some of these could have been done with pressure, but since I'm already here with percussion, I did it with percussion. And let's see, I'm going to do another pass on the other side. I got to look to see where the symmetry is not so good. Actually, there's a lot of mass on this side. I need to get rid of this bump here, so I'm going to do that first before I do this final pass on this side. Right, so if I remove this lump by hitting this edge is going to go that way, which is good because that's my final pass on this side. So I'm going to do these first, these lumpy areas first, and as I'm hitting, it removes some of the width and the edge goes this way. All three of those things happen by trying to remove the excess material from this side. Okay? All right. Oops. I hit the tip of it with the abrader. Dang it. I hate that. I hate losing the material off the tip. Anyways, if I hadn't said anything, you might not have noticed that. Can't be thinking about it too much. Nice. That one broke all up. These flakes are getting thinner. That's why it does that. As the flakes get thinner, they start breaking up more. But luckily, it still looks nice and smooth. You will start to get crackling toward the end as the flakes get thinner. Oh yes. That's why this is the hardest part in flint knapping. It gets more difficult as you progress. As you get thinner and thinner. It gets more and more difficult. The angle at which you strike is also very constricted. You can't be using too much experimentation as far as the angle of your strike and the position of the workpiece and the tool relative to each other. It's a very narrow range now that it's getting really thin. And only a very narrow range will work. Yeah, see, it's already getting crunchy. As the flakes get thinner, this happens more and more because they're getting thinner, not because you're a loser, which it's possible, but that's not usually the reason. See if I can pop those out. Yeah, I can pop the end of that out. It still looks cruddy. I'm gonna shoot flakes and do damage control later, right? Yeah. At this stage, everything is damage control, right? There's only a small area of original surface. It already looks like a rock now without any of the original surface. So everything from here on in is just cosmetic. It doesn't contribute to the function of this piece. It's just going to make it look nicer. The flakes I'm going to be taking off are just going to make it look nicer, theoretically, if I do it right. Yeah. All right, so I think I got rid of most of the mass that I needed to. The lumps, yeah. See how it's thinner now here? It's got to keep an eye on how straight it is. It's kind of thick right here on this side, but I can see where it can be a very straight piece now. This is kind of lumpy right there. So yeah, I'm just going to be looking now at random pretty much after I do this. I'm going to do some flakes on this side. After that, I'm just going to hit at random and reduce spots that look thick. So this is the last side for me to do as far as a pass of flakes. So that's what I'm going to do now. I've done passes of flakes on all the other sides already. So the finishing pass on this one has not been done yet. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I'm missing a lot of the chat, yes, but hold on, I'll check it in a minute. After I do this pass, I'll check the chat. Okay, so this is the most difficult pass because it's the thinnest. The point is the workpiece is at its thinnest. I gotta make sure that edge is just right. And take off material where it's kind of lumpy. So I'll be jumping back and forth. From side to side. So I want to keep everything tapered. If I start removing too much material from the center and leaving this thick up here, it's not well tapered and it produces weak spots. If you don't keep it well tapered, it produces weak spots. So you have to make sure it's well tapered. I don't know how else to explain it. Yes, okay. Nice, nice. Good, good. Perfect? No, not perfect. Yeah, this looks kind of weak for this flake that I want. And it's starting to crack. See, there's a crack there? That happens when it gets thinner also. As the blade gets thinner, the edge is also thinner. And all kinds of nasty things can happen on the edge as it gets thinner. Yeah. Okay. Ready? I'm ready. Let's see. Big flake. Okay. I always worry about these. Why? Because sometimes they go off in weird areas if I'm hitting really hard. That one was pretty hard. I had to produce a big flake. You can't get around it. To produce a big flake, you need big hits. That's just the way it goes. All right, let's finish. Let's finish. I still haven't done this pass here. I've just been jumping around. Okay, let's prepare it one more time because I took some flakes off of here. I saw that bulky area there, so I went here instead. Now I'm finally getting down to this last pass. Okay. Yes, and I will check the chat. I just got a little distracted. Okay, all right. Yes, yes. The edge is not that great, so let me fix it. Let's see. Yeah, I need to move the edge more this way to be closer to the obstacles. Yes. Okay. Sometimes I get that wrong, and I move the edge in the wrong direction. So I'm just taking little flakes, and that moves the edge closer to the obstacles that way. Some people call it lowering the edge, but the purpose is so you can get closer to the obstacle. You don't want the edge too low because then it messes with the convexity. The convexity of the potential flake path. If you make this edge too low, the flake wants to curve, right? But if it's too low, it'll curve right into the middle and dive. If you make the edge too low. Or it can overshoot the whole thing. You want to minimize the diving and minimize the overshooting. So don't make the edge too low. That'll minimize the overshooting and minimize the diving into the middle. But some people don't have a problem with that, so I'm just giving you advice to knap the way I do it. Okay? If it doesn't work for you, don't feel bad. You may have to develop your own style. It's not you, you know. I mean, it is you, but it's not something that you need to blame yourself for. Your brain is just different. All right. Is that good? I think that's good. That's what I wanted. I wanted something similar to that. No, I didn't want that. But, you know, you got to live with little mishaps. Yeah. As long as I don't think about it too much, I did that pass, and it looks satisfactory to me. Yep. And I'm going to go around and remove more of the thick spots that I can see. If I see a thick spot, I will attack it. Let's see here. What time is it? I got about an hour left. Yeah. I've been napping on this for an hour already. Well, the other one too. All right, so I can see some thick spots in some areas. Okay. It's not that major. There's just it's just minor details. Yeah. I'm going to see if I can do this without messing it up. Nope, that didn't do it. Yeah. So I wanted to get rid of that lump. There was a lump there. Where else can I take a lump off? I think we're good. Maybe in here somewhere. Yes. I gotta finish making this lower area nice and nice. There's that step fracture. Let's see. It snaps really easily in comparison to other stuff I've napped. This is some of the good stuff. Yeah, this coral is awesome. Look how nicely that napped. It's so nice to work with good material. Yes, it is. All right, so where do you get this kind of stuff? There's a rock seller. Her name is Pearl Yoder. 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 Pearl Yoder. Sells good coral. I don't know who else off the top of my head. She's on Facebook, and if you need information, just ask around on the chat, or you can ask me in a comment. I'll see if I can give you a link later after the live stream. I don't know where I got this particular piece of coral from. It might have been just in a batch of slabs I got as a gift, or a batch that I bought in bulk. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll buy a batch from somebody. I'll say, that batch looks pretty good. How much for that batch? And they'll sell me the batch. Add a nap in. Yes. I'm just making everything look nice, and I'll check the chat. I just need a couple more flakes. Yeah, famous last words, but I need a couple more flakes to make it look nice. Yeah, that took care of some of that step fracture. Not all of it, but it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. And the next flake, was it good? Is it crunchy? It's a little bit crunchy. But there it goes. That's it for the final thinning. The hardest part in Flintknapping is over. Yes, it is. Okay. Let's check the chat. Clean up a little bit. All right, let's see. Where are we on the chat? I missed a lot of stuff. Oh, yes. Jim Cooper says he's going to leave. He's going to catch us on Friday. Yeah, next live stream is Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Hey, I can heart my own live stream. Okay, let's see. You ever throw them in a field and try and fool people? No, we never do that on this channel. And no one should be doing that, because if you do that, I'm going to call you a bad word. Yep. Not on the chat, or not on the live stream. I'm not going to call you a bad word here. I will call you a very bad word in my brain. You should not be doing that ever. All right, let's see. Whitney says, my husband can make arrowheads too. He makes them from glass, though. Yeah, glass is nice to work with. Let's see. Let's see. I can work slabs like that with pressure, but I haven't got the talent with percussion under the leg, says Keith. Just keep going, but use thicker slabs. Don't use the real thin slabs, because they're a bummer with percussion. Make sure they're 3/8 inches thick or more. Dana is doing a lot of chatting with you guys. The gray edges look nice against that orange rust color. Yeah, I do like these colors on this. I tried to preserve this this side. Hopefully I can keep most of that color on there. Hopefully. If I start to try to preserve too much of it, it messes it up, though. But hopefully I can preserve it. Ed Gould is leaving also. Dang. Nice, beautiful material. Thank you very much. I didn't create it. It's from nature. All I'm doing is fulfilling its life's goal. It waited millions of years for this moment. It waited its whole life for this moment. That's what I'm doing. Yep. That rock waited all this time. I don't know if it's millions of years, but it was a long time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you eat it? Eat what? What are you guys talking about it here? Let's see. Okay, have you ever worked with jade or nephrite? Yes. I've worked with jade long enough to know that it cannot be napped. But nephrite, I can't remember. Someone gave me some jade one time at a nap-in, and I struck it, and I go, dang it, this is worse than granite. It's worse. It's like one of the worst things you could try to nap. Let's see. Yeah, Dana is clown control. Yeah, use a glass cutter in the beginning. You missed it. If you didn't see me snap that slab with a glass cutter and a copper rod, you missed it. You missed the best part of the whole video. I think my points are obese. They need some Ozempic. Oh, that's funny. Mr. Jim, you're a funny guy. Dang it. People talk about longbows in here? All right, so I'm looking for questions, okay? So I'm losing lots of the audience. But I'm looking for questions. Yeah, I'm using a copper rod. I mean, you guys can probably see. You guys can tell when someone's got bad intentions, but you can't tell when a metal is copper. I don't get it. You know, you watch videos and you go, dang, that guy's got a bad vibe. I can tell right away he's nasty. But you look at something like this, and I don't know what that is. Is it copper? I don't even know. Oh, come on. Tell me. I can tell you who's got bad vibes, but I can't tell you what copper is. See, that's the internet. I have no idea why it's that way. Let's see. And I'm not making fun of you. I just took advantage of the situation to try to be funny. But I'm not trying to make fun of you in particular. I will call you out by name if that's the case. Let's see. I think I picked good moderators. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, maybe she can delete my messages. I wonder if Dana can delete my messages. Let's see. Try to delete me. Oops. It probably won't do it, but it'll be fun to see what the YouTube comes up with. Let's see. Jim says jade and nephrite are basically the same thing, and they don't nap because they have an interlocking crystal lattice. That said, jade makes excellent cutting tools and ground and polish tools. Oh yes. I can spam my own chat. I just realized that. If you can't delete me, oh man, I can troll. Haha. That'd be something. Yeah, I might have too much fun. Let's see. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. At what time zone It's Eastern time. I'm in Vermont. What does it mean I would never baggage? Not not baggage? What do you mean? What is it? Hey, someone's typing W. What is W good for? What does that mean? Why do you think W's are so good? Are you like 7 years old?
I win. The W is for win. I win. I win.
Yeah, you must be 7 years old. W means good? I never heard of that before. These are little kids. I wouldn't worry too much about them. Let's see. Vermont is beautiful. It's no wonder what you do. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Texas, though. Vermont is beautiful, and we've got like a foot of snow on the ground. But I spent many years in Texas. That's where I learned to nap. And all my buddies are in Texas. I got to go and visit. I'm going to go to a nap-in the spring. Heart of Texas nap-in, April 15th through the 19th, I believe. If you want more information on that one, it's in Brady, Texas. I can give you more information if you ask me in a comment in one of my videos. I look at all my comments. All right. Let's see. Why Vermont? It's a long way from Texas. Yeah, well, this is my dad's old house. He originally is from New York, but he got married, stayed up here. Well, he got married to my mom when he was in the Air Force and flew everywhere around the country. So I was born in Florida, but I ended up in New Hampshire growing up because of the Air Force base that my dad was at. Anyway, my mom and dad got divorced, and we stayed up in New Hampshire until she decided to move the family down to Texas. I spent many years in Texas, and then now I have my dad's old house. He passed away. Now I have his little old house, and I like it here. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. He says, hello, my friend says, we still are finding arrowheads here in Kentucky. Awesome. Hey, Mr. Jim says, my wife has a family in New Hampshire and Maine. It's a nice way up there. Yes, it is. I like it. It can be a little bit, how should I say this? It can be a little bit sketchy in some areas as far as figuring out what is available. You cannot always get everything you need. Not sketchy in terms of crime, but in terms of being able to get what you need. I have to mail order a bunch of stuff. So I just can't go to the store and buy whatever I want. I mean, there's no Starbucks here as an example. Not that I go to Starbucks. But there's things that you can't get right away. So I do a lot of mail order. I try to stay away from the bigger cities. I like living in a small town like I'm in right now. But it's hard to get exactly what you need at all times. I should not have used the word sketchy. It's just remote. I should have used the word remote.
Yeah, but that's still confusing because you could be referring to remote control.
Yeah. All right, so look, there's a lot of people that have been put in timeout or deleted. Dana, deleted people. All right, so let's get back to this so I can finish making a arrowhead out of it. People have been waiting. They've been waiting in the wings. Yes. Let's see. I'm going to break out my pressure flakers. My extremely awesome pressure flakers. I was using this one before, or what was I using? And I got a notcher I sharpened yesterday. So here we go. Let's start shaping the edges and see what we got. I will check the chat later.
But wait, I just asked a question and now you're getting back to napping. You're so random.
Okay, well, you're going to have to wait now. If you just now asked the question, you're going to have to wait. It's going to be a while. Okay? All right. I'm trying to sharpen up this tip first. Now, it's got some dull spots that I need to get rid of. Can't see? Can't see what I'm doing? Good. I don't want to give away all my secrets. I've given all my secrets away already, basically. In case you're wondering, I've made a ton of videos giving away all my secrets. I only have a few left, and I'm keeping them for myself. Yeah. Whenever I say that, I end up giving away the secret anyway. But no, I gotta make sure I don't. That way, I can know if people know what they're talking about. Yep. I can do it in a certain way off camera, and they'll say something like, I know how you did it. You did it like this, blah, blah, blah. And if they don't know what I did, like they don't know my secret, then I know they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. I gotta have some. And so far, if they don't know exactly how I did it, there's no way for them to know, to come up with the idea. No. Unless they get lucky. Okay? You cannot tell how something is made just by looking at it. You can get kind of an idea, but you cannot ever tell how it was made just by looking at it. You can get the basics, but you can't get the particulars correct. Unless you're lucky. And then you don't even know. How are you going to know that you were lucky enough to get the procedure correct on an artifact when there's no way to check? There's no way to check. And when there's no way to check, it's useless to science. Yeah, believe it or not, if you can't check a hypothesis, it's useless in science. You've got to be able to verify it or check or perform a test to see if that's the way. And let's say that it does produce the effect that you are after. Does that mean that that's how they did it? Or does that mean that that's one way they could have done it? Usually it's the latter. That is one way they could have done it. Now, if there, in some cases, there's only probably one way to do it, but that's very rare. I'm trying to think, is there, well, the only thing I can think of is in the area of notching. You know, if it's a narrow notch, you know for sure they're using a narrow tool. And you can probably get it right as far as the basics on the notching, because you know the size of the tool, because the size of the notch will tell you. And the hardness of the material will also tell you that they used a certain hardness of tool to overcome the hardness of the material. But you're not really sure if they used a horizontal positioning on the tool or a vertical positioning on the tool. The particulars are not going to be right in many cases. So you get like maybe a 50-50 chance at best to get it right. And I've said this before in many videos, but there's still a lot of people out there that don't realize that it's hard to tell exactly how they made it as far as the particulars go. And that's what everybody wants to know, because that's the most important thing. What are the particulars? Because when you do knapping, everything is particulars. Because little subtle differences make all the difference. And now I'm going to use a file. Yes. Get that edge just right. Sneak up on it. Yeah. Be sneaky. The stone does not want to be an arrowhead, so sometimes you got to be sneaky. Yes? Yeah. What's so sneaky about a file? It just focuses the abrading in one little small area. You can get very, very particular with how you abrade. And let's see, is that sharp enough? No, that's not sharp enough. Hold on. I handed off my tool to my assistant, who meticulously ground this down on a rock. All that noise was something else. Yep. Come on.
Did they have assistants back in the day?
Most definitely. I think that most arrowheads were not a one-person solo artist thing back in the day. No. Not like it is nowadays. Nowadays, most knappers are solo knappers, lone wolves, lone rangers. But back in the day, I bet you it was a group effort in many cases. Oh, yes. Of course, not in all cases. It's impractical to have an entire group work on the points at the same time because everyone's got their own life schedules. But in many cases, I think more than one napper would work on points at the same time. And they'd share different skills. Some guy may have been good with notching and did all the notches, as an example. Who knows? I don't know for sure. So what am I doing? I'm trying to get it nice and sharpened. That's what I'm trying to do. So I do a combination of shaping and thinning to get it sharper. And then I'll put the notches in. I'm going to focus on the tip because it's the hardest for me. And I like to do the hardest thing first. In this case, because if I wait, I'll be too tired at the end to do a good job on the tip. Yeah. So all this is just so I can get the tip done before I do the notching. And then I'll come back and do the rest. Right now, I'm taking back this edge because there's too much width here. This is bulging out too much as far as symmetry goes. This needs to be trimmed. Also, try not to remove too much of this material. It's not that easy because it's kind of delicate. But I need to get rid of lumps on the edge like that one there. So very carefully, I've got to make sure I don't remove too much of that nice material. It's weaker though, so it crushes easier than the other stuff. There it goes. So now I have a nice flake there instead of a little bump. But I did sacrifice some of that material. Okay, so we're getting closer. We're almost there yet. Yeah. Okay, so I did most of the tip. I'm satisfied with the tip. I'm going to remove one more flake here to get rid of that. It's also, I know I can thin this area down. I'll take a flake right here. And then we'll do the notching. Do I do that with pressure? I can probably do that with pressure. Can I run a flake that long with pressure? Maybe. If it's a maybe, then it's probably a no. No, can't. So let's use percussion. Yeah, like that. So I just took that flake right there. Yes? Yeah. Cool. All right. I need to take a flake in there. Look at that. I didn't realize I had messed that up earlier somehow. Let's see. Or I just didn't take too much off of that edge because of the nice looking material. Took a little bite out of it though. Took a little bite. That's all right. Little bite, that's all right. As long as it's not a big bite. Yeah, like that. Good. Nice. Nice. The base is a little thick. See, it's a little thick, but it's all right. I can pressure flake that thinner. I'm just worried about this, the majority of the surface, yeah. Especially where I'm going to notch it. Down here, I can thin it down with a pressure flaker. Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm going to thin this down because I don't want to thin this down later. Try to do it now. Yes. It didn't catch the back end of that step fracture. See that? That one didn't go as far as I wanted to catch the back end of that step fracture, but it's all right. I'll live with it. I'm trying to thin it now for the notching down in this area. The thinner it is down here, the better for notching. Yeah. Yeah, like that. Yes, yes. Good, good. Is it yummy? I wouldn't go that far. But it looks okay. Actually, it's been a good, well-behaved piece of rock or piece of coral. Yes. I don't have any complaints. All right, what's the ratio? Before I get into the notching, let's see. The notching is a different mindset, so I can take a little break. What that means is I don't need to be in a zone. I don't need to be in the same thinning zone as I was just now when I'm doing the notching. So I can take a break and lose the mojo. I still don't know what you mean, dude, because the zones and mojos, I don't understand. Don't worry about it. You worry too much. Let's say 33 millimeters divided by, is that 4? Yeah, that's 4 millimeter. So what is that? That's like 8 to 1? Yeah, it's like an 8 to 1 width to thickness ratio, which means it's very thin. Very thin. Yeah. What percentage of artifacts are 8 to 1? I would say maybe 5%. Not bragging, but I'm just letting you know. There's not very many that are very thin. The ones that are very thin get a lot of attention, though. That's why you see a lot of them. They just get a lot of attention because clicks. All right, so let's finish the rest of this base with pressure and do the notches. Yeah, like that. Come on. Yeah, the edges are not that great. I should prepare them a little differently for these pressure flakes. But oh well. They're ground down a little bit too much. Because I have them ground down for percussion. You don't need to grind them as much for pressure, but sometimes you do. It just depends on the rock. And yeah, I'm knapping into the groove or the gap in the pad just so the flakes can travel freely. Sometimes touching the pad does interfere with the flakes. Again, it depends on the material. Some material is really finicky and it will stop the flakes if it touches the pad. And some it won't. Some materials are strong enough that it doesn't matter if the flakes touch the pad. They still go. But on weak materials like heat treats and obsidian, yeah, when the flakes touch the pad, they can be, stopped, and which creates step fractures, and it looks bad. I gotta make sure I don't put the tip into my finger. Yeah, a lot of inward force on these, so I can drive them. Let's see, I got a little step fracture right there. I'll pop that out with this tool here. Yeah. Theoretically. Yeah, like that. Looks okay. As long as there's not a step fracture there, because step fractures will interfere with future flakes. It's okay if it's a little crunchy, but if there's a step fracture there, it will interfere with the future flake. But if it's crunchy, it probably won't interfere. Okay, so that's good. Now I can do the notching. Okay. I usually go for the corner notch. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, something not too difficult. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Yeah, it's probably going to be a corner notch. That's what I usually end up doing. I can do side notches too. I can make a northern side notch, but then I'm going to have to do a concavity in the base. Usually I can preserve more length if I just do a corner notch. Yeah. Let me think here. What have I not been doing? Side notches. I've done plenty of side notches. What's the name of this type of coral? Cool looking, awesome coral. I don't know. I do not know the name of the coral. I could make something up. Yeah. Because that's what they do. If you find the name of this coral, they just made it up. It doesn't have anything to do with its properties. In most cases. It's not like it says, Like if you find the name of this coral somewhere, it's not going to say easily heat treatable petrified coral to 500 degrees, because that would be useful. It's going to be called something like la 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 coral, which is no use at all to you. I'm just saying. I used to be the kind of guy that would look up the names of the stuff, and I'm going, why is it called la la la? It should be called something more useful. It doesn't tell me how well it works when it's heat treated. It should be called something that's useful. But no, it's named after some city in Florida. Yeah. What good is that? I can't even go to that city and find it, because it's not even from that city. It's just the closest city to the site, as an example. Yeah, but I need to know the name, because if I don't know the name, I'm in limbo when I die. I die in limbo. Yes, I know. I understand. I get it. It's very difficult to live without knowing. It's just the not knowing that kills people. Yes, I know. I get it. It's funny how human mind works. I've learned to not care about that, and my stress levels have gone way down. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if it's called Lala Malala type of coral or whatever. Okay. And I'm not making fun of you. In case you're new, I'm not making fun of you. I just take advantage of situations to try to be funny. But I'm not trying to make fun of you in particular. Okay? All right. Cool? Cool. Are we good? Hopefully. No, I understand that if you don't know the name of something, it makes you look ignorant. I know. But just don't be afraid to look ignorant, because it doesn't matter. So what? As long as you can nap it, you can be as ignorant as you want. I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do. I'm going to do corner notches. Just going to do it. But I'm getting rid of the thick spots. People are waiting for the notching. Yes, I know. Okay. Yep. And I'm not going to do no narrow entry. No person. I'm just going to crunch these in. I'll probably do slightly expanding. This is a copper brazing rod on the end of this 1-inch oak dowel, 1-inch diameter. It's very soft copper, which I probably should be using steel to notch this. Yeah. Why? Steel focuses the energy a lot better. And you can get yourself out of a bind at the bottom of the notch if you can focus the energy. Yeah, because if you can't focus the energy well, it'll stall out. The notches will stall because you can't focus the energy. I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah, you got to make sure the tool tip is not all messed up, so you can get in there and focus that energy and push out a flake. It gets thicker as you go inward, but you don't want to be pushing too much harder. That's the conundrum. There's lots of conundrums in Flintknapping. As it gets deeper, it gets thicker, which means you need to exert more force normally. But if you exert more force in a notch, you get diminishing returns, because the more force there is, the more chance you have of blowing out the barb or part of the ear on this side, or just messing it all up by snapping it right across the whole piece. So you cannot be adding a lot of pressure as you're going inward with the notch. It's got to be pretty much the same amount of pressure. You can't always do that. That's why people end up breaking the whole thing during the notching, because they go, it's not working with that little bit of pressure, so I got to really jam it in there. Jam it so hard that I'll cause a seismic event. Yeah. And then snaps right across. Yeah. You don't want to be hit. You don't want to be using a lot of pressure. So it behooves you to make this thin to begin with. If you want deep notches or narrow notches, either one or both. It's got to be thin first. And there's always some guy out there going, no, man, I've seen them really thick with narrow notches. You don't know what you're talking about. Yes, okay, fine. If you've done 1,000 arrowheads, you can probably get narrow notches on a thick piece, but it requires lots of practice. Yes. You can do it. It just requires a lot of practice and a lot of breakages and figuring out what to do if it stalls, because it will stall. After a while, you figure out how to unstall it with some technique or some tool, and you'll be all set. I just make sure I'm thin in the beginning, in the area of notching. Yeah, that's the best remedy. It stalled a little bit. See, it's kind of crunchy down there at the bottom. I can probably push out another flake and maybe unstall that, but I need a steel tool. I don't have a steel one. I got this one, but this is for much smaller notching, because I was doing some small arrowheads earlier. I was using this for notching. I can't use it on this one because, first of all, it's not deep enough, and second of all, it's too weak. They break off. How do I know? Because that one broke. And that was even thicker. All right, so let's see if I can pop one more flake out of the bottom of that and get rid of some of that crunchy look to it. So I was able to pop that last flake out of there. See if I can get rid of that crunchiness. I like it when the bottom of the notch looks clean and not smashed. And then the inside of the notch looks clean also. As far as the sides of the inside, that's good enough. And then I'll match it on the other side. Yes? Okay. And I just eyeball it. It's not the best technique, but yeah, I just usually eyeball it. I've got templates that I use sometimes if I want to make it exact. Or I'll mark it with a marker. But if you look at artifacts, many times they're not symmetrical as far as the notching goes. They're just slightly off because they eyeballed it. Oh yes. I had to be careful because on the second notch, it's very easy to not pay attention because you've already done one notch, so you think that's going to be easy. But if you let down your guard, you can easily break off a barb or something. So I got to be in the zone. And if I was smart, I would have checked to see which was the thinner side and do the thinner side last, because the thinner side is easier to notch through. You know, I start on the thicker side, see how far I can notch, and then stop when I'm done, and then the thinner side is easier because it's thinner. But I didn't check that ahead of time, so we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be fine. It already feels like it's starting to stall, is why I said that. But it could be just my imagination. It may not be stalling. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think it was just the tool getting dull. Yes? Yeah. Let's see. I'm just going to do the inside of the notch a little bit on the sides. Widen it. Yeah. Trim it. Trim. Okay, let's see. How much more do we got to go? Still got a ways. This side's actually more narrow than the other side. But we can fix that. We can widen it out. Yeah.
No, dude, don't widen it. I want to see narrow. Narrow is like the bane of my existence. I want to see how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Just gotta be careful and do 1,000 arrowheads. Then you can get them really narrow. You think the guys that make narrow notches back in the day did it right away? Or did it take them years to figure that out? Probably took them years of napping to figure that out. And then the archaeologists look at it and they go, dang, all these nappers, every one of them, they learn how to do narrow notches from the beginning. Right, dudes? Yeah, that's right. All of them learned that right in the beginning. No. I doubt that very much. So I'm just going to make them symmetrical, okay? This last step is to make the notches look symmetrical. Yeah, and then the outline looks symmetrical. It's kind of a dovetail looking, no, St. Charles looking stem. And the last step is to sharpen the edges. Yeah. So that's the notching. Now at this stage, normally, if I was making it at Lattle Dark, I would check to see if it fits in the foreshaft, just to make sure, just to double check. Thin it some more if it needs to be thin. It does not need to be thin, I guarantee. But let's just say I wanted the foreshaft for it. None of these foreshafts are deep enough for that one. That one's not deep enough. How about this one? How about that? Yeah. That would work. It's a little bit loose. It's too thin for this one. Dang it. But yeah, I would check to see if it fits in the foreshaft. The wood is a little bit too narrow, and the point is a little bit too thin, so it doesn't match perfectly with this foreshaft. But what would happen back in the day is they already had their foreshafts made, and then they would make sure the point fits in the foreshaft that's pre-made. Okay? That's how they would judge the thickness of their bases and all that. That's how a lot of these artifacts have consistent necks and consistent thicknesses on the stem or the hafting area, because they would have a pre-made foreshaft for all their points, and then they could standardize them that way. And someone else could copy the foreshafts that was good at woodworking. Don't necessarily have to be a flint napper to make foreshafts. So whoever could not flint nap was probably making the foreshafts ahead of time. And, and the shafts also, the main shafts. So yeah, this fits in that foreshaft really well. Yeah, okay. It's already past 4, but I'm going to go over my time. All it needs now is to be sharpened. It's not sharp enough because I've got dull areas. I got to be very careful about how I sharpen this because I don't want to lose that material, right? So I'll just be picking at it very delicately there, but everywhere else I'll be sending in longer flakes and making the edge straighter. A straighter edge cuts better, looks better. Yeah, and this will be available in the auction Monday. All right, so let's see. If I don't mess it up. Okay, so let me check the chat before I go to the next stage. It's a different mindset. The sharpening is another stage. It's a different mindset from the notching. Okay? All right. Let's make sure people can see what I worked on. Hey, Sal is leaving. Hey, Killer Court says, what did I miss? Everything. That's my line too. Whenever I enter a chat, I say, what did I miss? Mac Bale says, mighty fine point there. Thank you, thank you. So does rope go around those holes? Yeah, the lashing goes around there. I'll show you how to lash it. Yeah, I still have some water in the water bowl along with some flakes. I'm going to put the sinew in the water bowl and I'll show you how to lash it. Here's some sinew, right? It's good enough. I don't know. Do I have enough sinew? I don't know if I have enough sinew. Dang it. I'm going to need more than that. This is a bigger point than usual. So I'm going to need 2 strands. Probably 3 strands. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes? So I'll show you how to lash it. Or how I do it. What do the divots do? You'll see. Back in the day, they would wrap it with some type of fiber and use homemade pitch tar substitute for glue. Where'd you learn that? Is that what internet culture told you? It's not wrong, I'm just asking. And you said homemade pitch as if there was something that was not homemade back in the day. Everything in the back in the day was homemade. So yes, that is true. It was homemade pitch. Let's see. I harvested a bunch of sinew, says Mission Mountain Man. For my deer this season, I just need to get started making foreshafts. Awesome. Matthew Banks says, history, bro. Yeah, but what history? They don't teach some type of fiber and homemade pitch in history. It's in books. Which books? I've read a lot of books. Hardly anybody mentions it. Now you can look in archaeological studies and they'll tell you. Is that what you mean? Let's see. What did I miss? I'm looking for questions, by the way, in case you're wondering. After I look through and there's no questions, I will continue. You think the spear would actually hold up hitting something? Oh, yes. As long as you don't hit bone, these things work really good for hunting. These will break easily when they hit bone. Now, sometimes it doesn't matter and it'll still kill the animal, but sometimes the animal will get away. Let's see, it's for an atlatl dart, yes. It's not Burlington, it's coral. It looks like Burlington chirp, but this particular piece was a heat-treated coral. It's probably from Florida or Georgia. Let's see. Yeah, this is way too big for an arrow. Yeah. The arrow foreshafts are a lot tinier. I've got some arrow foreshafts that I made that are in line with archaeological specimens. See, these are like arrow foreshafts. These three here. See how they're much smaller in diameter than the atlatl dart foreshaft. Okay, so these are arrow foreshafts. Let's see here. Keith says, I think these corner-notched arrowheads are the best-looking heads. Yes, I like them too. I love the style and looks of them. Great job so far. That has a weathered look with the edges having some gray. Yeah, I like this one. Fossilized coral immediately implies that it's much harder than normal coral. Fossilized coral implies much, well, I don't know. I think coral that's not fossilized is pretty hard also. I don't know if fossilized coral is harder, especially heat-treated. Heat-treated fossilized coral is probably softer than non-fossilized coral as far as chipping it goes. Yeah, it can actually be used as an arrowhead. Yes, and I'm going to sharpen it up. I'll show you. I mean, it's going to be, I'm not going to cut anything with it, but it can be used definitely as a real hunting tool. You asked a bunch of questions. Somebody is asking a bunch of questions, but they got answered already, hopefully. Let's see. Yeah, just easy questions. Hope he gets. I'm skipping some of the easier questions because maybe someone in the chat answered them. What I do is I look for a question mark or something. How old is job is working me so hard? Okay. Let's go back to the end and see what I missed. Is it possible to make one of these out of shell? Yeah, you can make arrowheads out of shells. It's just not as easy. There's a lot more grinding and a lot more struggle with trying to knap shell. So most of the time they just ended up grinding the whole thing without even trying to knap the shell. They just grind it down. But some shells are easier to knap than other shells. But just getting the piece of shell ready to be knapped takes a while. You've got to grind it down to a good shape and then knap the edges sharp. You can't run long flakes on most shells. And if you do run a long flake on a shell, it's just lucky. Most of the time you just get crunchy edges, but they're sharp. You get sharp, crunchy edges by knapping the edges on a piece of shell. How do I know? I don't know. Okay, so that's it. Let me haft this one. I'm going to use modeling clay instead of pitch. But what my favorite is, this This is my hafting glue that I normally use. It's asphaltum and gum base. It's not tree resin. It's asphaltum or bitumen, and gum base. What is gum base? Dude, it's in books. Yeah. You should be comfortable with that answer. It's in books. Dude, you make fun of people. It turns me off, dude, because it's just lame. I'm going to change the channel after you. You just can't stand it. Yeah. If you can't stand it, then yeah, change the channel. All right. Here we go. We're going to use some modeling clay because I'm going to sell this. I can't be messing it all up. I can wash this clay off before I sell it. Yeah. And no one will see that I used it as a demonstration. All right. All right. So a little bit of glue goes in the bottom. So it sticks and you can align it. Right. And if it has a notch in the bottom, what's the notches in the very bottom of the arrowhead called? Like this. Let's see. Do I have one? No, I don't have one. But sometimes they have notches down there. What we calling them these days on this channel is a glue notch. It increases the surface area for glue down at the bottom. So you just drop some glue down at the bottom. Right now I'm just using modeling clay to demonstrate. And if it has a notch in the bottom of the arrowhead, it's a glue notch. It adds more surface area, and that means the glue sticks better. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue where it's going to show. Normally, if you're going to be actually gluing this, there's going to be a lot more glue down inside the notch. But I'm just going to show what it looks like on the outside, just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so this, normally I would use asphaltum and gum base. But you can also use pine pitch, yes. But any kind of pine resin glue is going to melt really easily in any place that is hot. These days, if you leave your arrowheads in a hot car, especially if you live in the South, like most people, in southern climates, that pine pitch is going to run out of the joint, and you're going to have a big mess. If you live on the West Coast, where the temperature is always nice and never really too hot or too cold, you're not going to have problems with pine pitch. But here in Vermont and other areas where there's wild temperature swings, like we can get up to near 100 degrees in summer, and negative temperatures below 0 Fahrenheit in the winter, the pine pitch does not work well. The asphaltum and gum base work much better in areas with fluctuating temperatures. Okay? Just so you know. And do the artifacts have asphaltum and gum base? Well, they have asphaltum. I don't know about the gum base. And what is gum base? It's basically chewing gum. These days you can find gum base in chewing gum. And yeah, you can add chewing gum to, let's say, roofing tar and get a close approximation of what I use. Roofing tar for roofs. Yeah. Okay. So if you want to get close, a substitute for the asphaltum and gum base is chewing gum mixed with roofing tar. Yeah. Okay. Both of those available at your local Home Depot. But you got to make sure that the roofing tar is going to be solid when it gets cool. You don't want the gooey roofing tar. You don't want gooey glue. You want it to harden up. All right, so that's what it looks like basically when you've got it glued up with the glue. Okay? Of course, it's going to be a hot melt glue. Right? Right. Just keep it in mind. This is for demonstration purposes only. All right, so the sinew, this happens to be elk backstrap You can use any kind of backstrap or any kind of leg sinew, but backstrap works better because it's longer pieces. Why is it better to have longer pieces? Well, if you ask that question, that means you haven't done this very much, because you'll find out really fast why you need longer pieces. It just works much better with longer pieces of sinew. Okay? Let me cut that end off. Well, I don't need to cut it. I'll just wrap it down. Yeah. Let's see, it's just, sometimes these pieces are really thick. So what I did was I wrapped this top part first. See that? Now I'm going to wrap the rest of it. This has been soaking in the water for a few minutes. And I just, it still has a little bit of flesh on here, like membrane and loose strands, so I just make sure it's nice and flat. It's going to be nice and flat because it's backstrap. And yeah, the Native Americans use a lot of backstrap sinew for everything. The leg sinew is okay for like bowstrings and stuff, but if you want long, easy to use stuff, you use backstrap. Okay, so I am going to crisscross, and when you crisscross, you go around at least once before you go back up, and then back down. Well, I'm going to go across this time. Go down on this side, and then back up on this side later. I want to get those ends wrapped, and then back up over here. Yeah. Then back down and go at least once around. Yeah, like that. And sinew is good because it sticks to itself. See that? It's stuck to itself. Now you can wrap it down further. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay? As it dries, it shrinks. And it holds it really tight. But in the meantime, you just keep it warm, and the glue is a hot melt glue, right? So if you keep it warm next to a fire, you can keep readjusting. Make sure that this is all straight. And then to check to see if this point is aligned properly, you hold the foreshaft and spin. The tip should be stationary. It shouldn't be moving around like this. It should stay stationary when you spin it. Okay? See that? That's how you know it's aligned properly. And you spin it in the air. You don't put it down on something and spin it. I'll show you what I mean. When you spin the tip, don't do this. That doesn't tell you anything. Besides, it gets the tip dull. You need to hold the foreshaft or the main shaft or whatever you're using, and spin it that way in the air so you don't ruin the tip. It just, if it stays stationary, you've got it centered right. Make sure you hold it steady. It should stay stationary. If it isn't, you need to realign it. I think it's off just slightly. I can't see. I need a darker background. I want to show you because this is important. If you listen to internet culture, they don't tell you how to do this. You spin it, and it needs to be stationary. Like, see that? It's a little bit off. Okay. I'm having a little trouble holding it steady, but you know what I mean. Okay? Same goes for arrows. And the glue that they used, I'm going to do a video later on making hide glue with no boiling or no hot water. Okay? You can make hide glue without boiling it. And that's what they would use to add to the sinew in many cases. Not all cases. Sometimes they would use some kind of other kind of glue. Whatever. Okay? I'm not going to have time to work on the other piece. Yeah. I'll do that in a different video. Maybe next week. But that's what that looks like. Let's look at the chat one more time. Let me see. Where are we? I'm having a lapse of memory, or the auctions on Monday. Yeah, the auctions are on Mondays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time. I announce the winners at 9:01 p.m. And sometimes it takes me up to 45 minutes to announce all the winners, especially if they're real close bids. Like if everyone bids at the last minute. So yeah, it's Eastern time. All my times are Eastern time, and I usually try to put in the schedule in my descriptions of the videos. But you can ask in any of the comments sections on any of my videos, and I'll see the comments. If you ask me a question anywhere on my channel, it gives me a notification of your comment, and I can answer it. Just ask me when the auctions are or any other question. Let's see. Do you have a good recipe for birch tar glue? I bought some tar and boiled it down. I added birch charcoal and some linen fiber, but it still softens in the heat. What can I do to make it harder? You bought some tar. What you probably bought was birch oil, right? That'll never boil down to get hard enough. The recipe for birch tar is to start with the correct bark. You have to get birch bark and do the destructive distillation process on it. There's videos on how to do it. You can't just buy birch tar. You can try boiling it down, but I've tried it before, and a lot of times what you're buying is birch oil or essential oil, basically. It does not boil down. And if you add anything to it to try to get it harder, it just ruins whatever you're adding to it. It's not going to get to the point where it's going to be good glue. How do I know? I don't know. Let's see. Can I show you my palm pad details? This thing? It's a domed pad with a slot cut in it. It's domed, well, maybe not in that direction. It's supposed to be domed in both directions. This one was made by Mike Tufts. It's got rubber on top of wood. Now, the way I make my pads, and I show them in my Friday night videos, these are the ones I make for myself. Okay, leather on top of wood, and they're domed in both directions. Domed this way and domed that way. And if I need a slot, I'll cut it in the middle. But they're domed in both directions. And I'm very particular about the arc and how much it's domed. I'm very particular about that. So it takes me a while to make each pad, and I don't sell these. This is thick vegetable tanned leather. I think that's 12 ounce or 14 ounce. I think it's 12 ounce vegetable tanned leather. And this is maple that I got from my wood pile behind my house. And I dome the wood first. And then when I glue the leather on top of the domed wood, the leather becomes domed. Imagine that. And I've got two different, I got the black stained leather and regular leather. But they're both vegetable tanned. And when Mike Tufts made this pad for me, the one I used in this video, he made sure to dome the pad in this direction But in this direction, it's relatively flat, which is okay. I just have to be careful because if it's not domed, I will snap the point in half. All right. Have you ever tried beaver teeth as a microflaker or any animal teeth? Yes, and they don't work. Don't let anyone tell you that teeth work for Flintknapping. The only teeth, there's one exception. If you consider tusks to be teeth, then that's the one exception. Tusks do work for Flintknapping, but teeth do not. Especially not beaver teeth. Yeah. How do I know? I don't know. Let's see. Let me see. Who has... Let's see. Yeah, there's several videos on birch tar glue. You just type it in YouTube search. I'm trying to think. There's one guy that did a very good video. Sean Woods? Is that the guy's name? Sean, S-H-A-W-N, Woods, W-O-O-D-S, has a good birch tar glue video. Can I nap it against rock? Let me see. I think I've answered all the questions that I can see. Hopefully I saw them all. Let's see. Keith says, thanks, Pat. I'm going to make a domed pad. Yes, I recommend the domed pads highly. Before I started using domed pads, no one had any domed pads at all. I had to make my own. I found out that's the only way I could nap without snapping them, especially the smaller points, without snapping them in half. Let's see. Have you made one from wood, like the arrowhead from wood? Yes, I've made arrowheads from wood before. They don't work all that great. You have to get a really dense wood. And I'm trying to think, what's the densest wood in North America that I can think of? Some kind of hickory would probably be best. I don't know. Osage works well for wooden arrowheads. If you can find a wood like ironwood that's heavier than water, like if the wood actually sinks in water, those are the types of woods that can be used for arrowheads. If that's your question, I don't know if that was your question. And there is wood that is heavier than water, yes. Let's see, any other questions? That clay looks yummy? What are you, nuts? Logan asks, how old am I? I am 63 years old. I am old. I have 6 children. They're all grown up, or they're all over the age of 18. 6 children. So yeah. How do I know what kind of questions I get from children? I don't know. Let's see. I harvest a bunch of cinnamon. Okay, so if there's no more questions, I'm going to call it a day. Osage orange is pretty dense, supposed to be one of the hardest woods in Americas. Yeah, Osage, not all of it's very dense. You got to make sure the growth rings are very close together. If you're looking at the end grain before you buy or pick a piece to make arrowheads from, make sure the rings are close together for the arrowheads. Yes, that's the secret. Have you ever made arrowheads from microliths? Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. But yes. Why is it a pain in the butt to make arrowheads from microliths? Because you've got to be very good at using the glue. The glue gets everywhere. You're basically sticking little pieces on the sides of the arrow shaft and on the tip. Those are microliths. You stick them on with glue. If you look at the x-rays of the actual artifacts that have microliths, many of those artifacts don't even have grooves in the sides of the shaft to fit the microliths. It's just a plain shaft, and you just use the glue to glue them on. That's it. Now, some of them do have grooves, but it doesn't really help all that much. It's still a pain. But yes, to answer your question. Let's see. Did everyone hit the like button? Everyone hit the like button or double tap on the screen. Like you double tap? Well, this doesn't work. For some reason that one didn't. Maybe I already liked my own video. Anyway, let's see what else we got. Someone came in late. Charles came in late. You just made it. You missed it. You missed me making this. It's really thin too. I got lucky. Yeah. And I've hafted it in the foreshaft with elk backstrap and modeling clay because I didn't want to use pitch or asphaltum on this because I'm going to sell this arrowhead. I got to go back in the house and wash all that clay off of there, but it's not that difficult. I didn't sharpen it, did I? I only sharpened the tip. I forgot to sharpen the edges down here. Oh well, I'll sharpen it before I sell it. Yeah, I just won't do it on this video. I gotta call it a day. But I sharpened the tip up here so you can see it if you rewind the video or whatever. I got over 200 likes. Oh dang. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. That does help the channel a lot. YouTube likes me the more likes I get. Yeah. And you can also wrap these with rawhide. I've got some thin rawhide that's just as thin as this sinew. And you can make your own thin rawhide too. And you can wrap these with rawhide, which gives you much longer pieces than sinew. In case you cannot get backstrap sinew, a lot of guys cannot get a hold of it without spending an arm and a leg. If you can't get a hold of this backstrap stuff, you can use very thin rawhide. And one of the easiest rawhides to get is coyote. It's not expensive. And you can use, what else have I used? Sometimes you can find deer rawhide scraps for cheap, but make sure it's from the belly of the deer and not the back. The deer bellies are very thin for their raw. If you want to make a rawhide that you can use to wrap, use thin rawhide, and deer bellies are very thin from small deer, not large deer. Okay, and it's actually more fun to wrap with rawhide. But you have to use a lot of glue to stick it on. Whereas sinew has its own glue, it's kind of sticky if you wet it. It glues to itself pretty easily. So back in the day, they used mostly sinew for wrapping. But you can use rawhide on these at little dart points and knives. Now on arrowheads, for arrows, you do have to use something thinner because it's too bulky if you use rawhide. Okay, I think that's it. Have you tried knapping amber? Somebody gave me a piece of amber one time and it snapped in half. So yeah, but it doesn't work. At least with my limited experience, I snapped it in half and he said, that's okay. He made jewelry and stuff. He wanted to get into making arrowheads. He wanted to see if amber would work, and it does not work. Groundhog rawhide is the toughest. Yeah, I've got some groundhog rawhide that I'm going to make into a bowstring eventually, and I'll show you when I get around to it. Yeah. Let's see. In continental Europe, unfortunately, we don't have a wide selection of flint sizes, except in a few places. Most of them are pieces brought by glaciers. Leopold, if you go to Denmark, northern Denmark, there's lots of flint on the beaches in northern Denmark. I have a post in my community section that shows you where the flint is in Denmark. Better get there before everyone takes it all. Eventually it's going to be gone, the big pieces anyway. And there's a wide variety in Denmark as far as it. Ronald says, have you made a bow yet? I'm working on a couple bows right now. I'm in the process of working on them. So I haven't completed them yet. But I usually make 2 to 4 bows at a time, and I'm making 2 of them right now. But I'm in the process. Some people are just now joining us. Okay, I see. Leopold is working with microliths. That's why. Okay, having a hard time finding flint. Have you gone to northern Denmark? Or are you able to? Okay. I have made more bows in the past. I don't know. Ronald, I think you know that I've made bows in the past. Lots of bows. I took like a 10-year break from making bows because I got tired of it. They kept breaking on me because of the dryness of the weather where I used to live. All right, so I'm going to end the live stream. Leopold's from Poland. You have striped flint in Poland, for one. I think you can find Baltic Sea flint. I'm not sure if it's Estonia. The closest thing to you is going to be probably Estonia, but I can't remember the country where there's Baltic Sea flint. You're probably going to have to travel at least 6 hours away to get the flint. Hey Pat, when should you cut river cane? Cut river cane in February or March when all the leaves are off and there's no ticks outside. I mean, maybe January and February. Depends on when your tick season is. But the leaves, most of the leaves should be off the river cane. I'm pretty sure it's deciduous, right? Most of the leaves fall off in winter. And then, but not in the middle of winter. Kind of like toward the last month of winter. Yeah, I'm trying to think here. That goes for any type of cane, river cane or giant cane or Phragmites reed. Late winter is the best. Alrighty. And then you let it dry over the entire summer, and then you work it in the fall. What temperature is coral cooked at? 600 degrees Fahrenheit, usually. Not always. How to make glue when it's winter time? How do you make glue when it's winter time? Well, pine pitch glue can be made at any time. But if you want to make glue out of, regular pine sap, it's difficult because the trees are frozen if you live in a cold climate. I'm assuming you live in a cold climate. So you're not going to be able to make glue out of sap when the tree is frozen. Right? But believe it or not, you can make glue also out of flour, water, and salt, and then add in the soot to make it black if you want black glue. But you can make, believe it or not, wheat flour, water, and salt. You mix it up really thick and use a lot of salt. That way it adds that granularity to it. That hardens up pretty good. That's basically a, what do you call it? A gluten or a starch type glue. It's not that sticky, but it works. Somebody can see their self. All right. That's it. Somebody donated some money? Who donated? Dennis? If you donated some money, thank you very much. It was not a super chat, I guess. But thank you, thank you. I'll look for it. I don't know where it went. Leopold says he has a deposit of striped flint, but these places are too far from where I live. Oh, I see. Okay, that's it, guys. Good night, everybody, or good whatever your time zone is. Good evening, good day, and good night. I'll see you on Friday. Friday's live stream is 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, and I'll be working with natural tools. Yeah, this is my toolkit for Friday night. Okay, so this is the main billet that I use, and I use hammer stones and all that. Okay, antler tines, braiding stones. These are what my pressure flakers look like. Okay, and I do use indirect percussion with antler tines on Friday nights. Okay, hammerstone. All right, so I'll see you then. Take care. All right, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.